Okay, so in this deck profile, I'll be going over a deck list for Exvader, as well as Atlas, so black and blue, using the Night Ruler. And again, with set 3, the Night Ruler has the boost of you start with 4 cards in hand versus the original 2. So the first card we have is we're running only one nyarlathotep of the Thousand Masks. It is an Endbringer, so that's one of the reasons why we are using it. We will usually rarely will have the 2 charges for you to use its counter ability, but a lot of times we'll be playing it if we need it as like a set destruction, or if we need to get extra charges for some of our other Endbringers, as well as it can be used, like I mentioned before, for a set destruction. We are running the 1 legend for Exvader, which is Megidos. Again, it's just a very good card. 7/6/2, really good stats, and then its counter ability is really good because you can choose depending if it's a drive ruler or if it's a hand ruler. And then it just has other abilities that we can use with the other cards if we need to. We're also running 4 Chitulu, so this is our main attacker in our deck. Because it is 8/8/4, so we'll clear almost any unit, even other Chitulus. It's also pretty hard to get rid of. And then also when it attacks, you can destroy all level 0 or lesses on your opponent's side. And then again, it just because it has very beefy stats that it can be hard for opponents to get through. Next, we're only running 2 Hasters, so this lets us search for our level 0 field, and then we're actually only running 2 of the field in this deck, and then as we go through some of the other cards, we'll explain why. But one of the things with the field card that I'm not a fan of is that sometimes if we don't have an Endbringer like Chitulu or some of the other ones to get rid of those charges, we're actually going to start taking damage from our own card. So that's why we actually cut back on the number of ones we have, and because they are searchable and they are counter, it shouldn't be that hard to get one. And usually we don't necessarily need the charges because we do have other methods to get charges for, like Chitulu. We do have 1 Captain Liberty because again, it's just very good recursion. If we do get it into our graveyard, we can use up some of our counters to bring him back. We are running 4 Bigwig Owl, so again, mostly for the counters is draw, or if you could play him, you can use him like on the first turn to swing and then just to draw an extra card, so we can get more cards, more card selection for each turn. Next we have 4 Hounds. So this card can be played at instant speed, and then when it comes in, you can choose one of your opponent's level 1 or less unit, and you can end it underneath as a charge. So sometimes you could do it where on the end of or after your opponent's done, you can play this at like the end after they're attacking, or after like they declare their last attack at your ruler. You could play this, suck up one of their units, and then you can use that unit as a charge for cards like your Chitulu or any other Endbringer card. It can also be used to make our Endbringers cost 1 less when we do play them, so that way, because we are playing a night deck, we do have to be conscious of our resource spending. Next we have 4 Wizard Soldier Jake. So we are running this over the Blue Titan, which is exactly the same thing as a level 1. It has 3 attack, but this one Jake has 2 HP versus Titan has 4. And 2 strike, but the whole point is that when Jake comes into play, he gets 2 charges, which is more than Blue Titan, where Blue Titan only gets 1. And then for one of the other Endbringers, having 2 charges is slightly better than having just the 1. And again, so this is like one of the ways we'll use to get charges for Chitulu, so that way he can attack. We are running 4 Devourers. So this card is when you have 3 or more Exvader cards in your graveyard, he essentially becomes a 4/2/3. So essentially it's the 3 strike that we're looking at, so that way you can deal more damage. We have 4 Noisemaker, so this is one of the other Endbringers we can use to get rid of our charges and deal 2 damage per charge. So this is why, like with Jake can supply 4 damage worth of power, whereas like Blue Titan will only provide 2 damage because of 1 charge. We are running for Lightwalker, so this is just the Exvader version of Energy Boost. It does have 0 strike, whereas like the blue one does have at least 1 strike, but this one has 3 attack as well as 3 HP, so it's slightly bigger, and sometimes 3 is a little bit better as a clearing power than having just 2 attack. It's also an Exvader, so that way if it goes to a graveyard, you know, for like Devourer, it will be counted towards it. We are running 4 Embrace of Eons, again, just a very good removal spell. And again, can be paid for instant speed for just a cost of 1 if we do put a card on the bottom of our deck, or DR4, because the deck doesn't necessarily DR or put our cards face down. So usually we can utilize that for this event. We also have 4 Sword of Destiny, so this card just lets us kill any unit that we want. Aside from the few that can't be like targeted with events or abilities. But again, another Exvader card. We are running 3 Top Secret Weapon. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of this card, especially for decks like these, where you can... so when you play it, you can discard a card from your hand and then draw 1, and then you can use the counter ability of the card you discarded. So for like example, you can play this for 2 cost, and then you can discard Sword of Destiny, draw a card to replace the Secret Weapon, and then you can still use the Sword of Destiny's ability. So rather than paying the 3 to destroy a card, you actually only just paying 2 to use it. It is its standard action rather than like instant speed, but sometimes that's fine, because especially with Knight, if you're setting like a Sword of Destiny, you have to spend all 3 resources on your opponent's turn just to kill that 1 unit, whereas this one, this way allows us that if we played like a 3 cost the previous turn, we can still play any of them. So I can even let us play Aeons. If we really need to, if like really desperate, you could discard Bigwig Owl, and then you'll actually draw 2, so you just replace both cards. We're also running 2, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're running 2 of the Dimensional Breach, the field card that gets charges. So the charges can be you get rid of through Endbringers. So we can use it for like Noisemaker, or we can use it for Haster or Chitulu if we really need to. The last card we're using is for Invisible Hand. So this card is slightly better than Win-Win. So Win-Win is the legend from, you know, the set 1 starter decks. Especially in this format, because a lot of decks are using hand rulers, which means they're using resources. Win-Win is actually more detrimental, because it usually will give your opponent 2 energy, and 2 energy is very important when it comes to cards like Lucifer, or any of the other cards that let you interact on your opponent's turn. But this one is just used to untap 2 resources, and then so let's just keep going where, you know, like for example, you could play things like Top Secret, and then you can play this afterwards, so that we can play like another level 3 Endbringer, or if you say you play level 3 Endbringer, and then you know, pay 1, you can untap all your energy again with this, and you can continue to play more cards, any of your events, as well as more units to attack with. So with that, that's the end of this deck profile. So again, the deck list will be in the description below. And then again, if there are any other deck types you'd like to see, if there's a certain you know, faction, or if there's a certain ruler or a certain card you want to see build around, just let me know in the comments below, and then I'll do my best to try to look into making a deck for that. But with that, thank you for watching, and then I'll see you guys in the next one.